Good news of the day. Jesus Christ died for our sins, and he's given you eternal life. He loves you infinitely, and he wants you to join him in eternal life in heaven with the Father and the Holy Spirit. You're valuable and important to him, and you have great worth in his eyes. If you're struggling or going through something difficult, you will get through it. You're really strong. Jesus loves you, and he's with you. He's ready to be accepted into your heart at any time. Ask for forgiveness for your sins and accept Jesus Christ as your Savior, and you will be saved. Please know how loved and special you are and how you're an irreplaceable child of God. Stay strong and take care of yourself. Hi guys, so today we are going to be doing a review of TXT's newest work, Minisode 1 Blue Hour. So I was really looking forward to this comeback. I literally reviewed like their entire discography, like kind of in anticipation for that. I know like the Eternally review got re-uploaded a couple times because Big Hit kept copywriting me, even though it was fair use. So we're gonna see how this one goes. If you see it and then it disappears for a little while, it means I'm re-editing something because it got copyrighted again. Anyway, so let's go ahead and take a look at TXT's fourth mini album, or their third mini album, like their fourth release of music. Technically, the Dream Chapter Magic was a full album, even though it was only 8 songs, which is all right. So this is kind of their fourth mini album they released, or third mini album, however you want to do it. Their fourth piece of music they released in terms of like a whole, like a collection of songs. So I'm gonna go ahead and be reviewing the songs, and also, as always, I want to state my biases at the beginning. If you've seen my other reviews, you know that I'm a fan of TXT, so I'm obviously going to be biased and more gentle than someone who's entirely objective, since I am a MOA. That said, I will be fair in what I actually think and honest with my opinions. So I'll say if I think something doesn't work or I don't like it, but I'll be criticizing the music, not the boys. And I'm not rude or hurtful, though I guess I can be kind of frank. So if you're a really sensitive MOA who's gonna get upset if anything other than praise is said, then maybe this isn't the best video for you. But I think I'm pretty fair overall, and obviously I'm not gonna be as harsh as someone who has no opinion on TXT. So I just wanted to get that disclaimer out of the way. So as always, I'm gonna go through the track list in order and give my thoughts on each song, and sometimes I kind of sprinkle in thoughts about the general theme or vibe of the album in one of the songs, or I might leave that for the end, I'm not really sure. And then at the end I rank the songs based on my personal preference, and then we kind of just give my closing thoughts of what I thought of this mini album. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so today we are going to be appreciating our pink-haired prince, our black-haired princes, our blue baby boy, and the blondie's beauty in the newest mini album, Blue Hour. So it came out October this year, and I'm not going to go ahead and waste any more time. I've already kind of given you all my disclaimers, so we're going to go ahead and just jump right into it. Okay, tiny mice and fragrant flowers, we're going to start with Ghosting. Ghosting is a relaxing, twinkling song with soft drums and an airbrushed quality to it. It's very pretty, but it's also a melancholy song, which perfectly encapsulates the feeling of being ghosted by someone that you once held dear and feeling that ache deep inside yourself of not wanting to be alone. This song is a really unique piece for TXT, and it's a great way to start the album. The most similar song I think they've ever released to this in their own discography is Fairy of Shampoo from their Eternally album. I personally love the imagery that Ghosting conjures up in its lyrics translated to English, and also the haunting sadness that the longing vocals and soft yet drowning instrumental gives off. One of the most interesting things about the song production, in my opinion, is the fact that the music is so loud compared to their vocals. You at points can just barely hear their timid voices peeking through all the instruments, which I actually think fits the song's theme and vibe really well. Being hurt, having someone you loved or loved just stop contacting you entirely, without any explanation, being ghosted, that can make somebody feel really lost and weak. And I think the vocal delivery of the boys in this piece, they just really sound like the voices of boys who've been hurt and are feeling really vulnerable. I think their vocals, all the TXT members, do a really beautiful job of also changing their vocal color to kind of fit the more pining, washed out style of the song, with the exception of Taehan, because his vocal tone already fits pretty well with the concept, so he didn't really have to change it much. I especially wanted to praise Yeonjun here because he tends to sing with a more nasally and sharp voice, one that like immediately demands attention and lets like, you know, which is totally fine, by the way. That's just a unique quality that Yoonjuni's voice has, and it's one of his staples. But I just felt like he did a really impressive job of toning his voice tone kind of down and softening it in this song, making his usually like so powerful and sharp voice. He made it really mellowed out for this song to better like fit the like drawn out like lost vibe that Ghosting has. So I want to say props to him for being able to adjust his performance so much while still sounding like himself. He just sounds like a softer, like more mood appropriate version like of his unique voice. So I wanted to say I thought that was really cool that he could change his performance so much. It like really shows how much thought he puts in as a performer. And I'm sure like the vocal producer and the person that was like helping him record also like helped him. But I just thought he did a really good job of kind of softening his usually sharper delivery. I also wanted to say that Bumgyu's vocals sound really good here. He did a similar thing to Yoongjun and basically kind of thinning and like pacifying his deeper like huskier voice, which I love his like huskier voice. It's very like naturally beautiful. But Bumgyu kind of made his voice a little lighter and more gentle in this song to kind of like be more gentle on the ears, once again to kind of fit the like wispy, like longing, softer sounds of Ghosting. Also, you know, I ain't gonna leave the song Ghosting before praising my like personal favorite vocalist of the fourth generation, Hyunin Kai. I absolutely love him in Ghosting. I love him in like every song, but I just really like he's a straight genius here. I just wanted to point out his vocals. Also, I feel like puberty really hit him hard. Like he sounds really low in this song for Hyunin. This is like literally the lowest I've ever heard him go. Maybe I'm just like not listening that close and he's gone lower in other songs, but like I've never heard his voice like hit these kind of lower, more like solid notes, and he just sounds stunning. And I feel like his voice blends really well with the instrumental and style. And like just Hyunin Kai is a professional, so like just give him like 50 million medals. I just like want you to like listen to his genius, okay?
Talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular, never the same, totally unique, completely not ever been done before.
Also, quickly, I wanted to mention how clever I think the metaphor of this song is. Usually when the slang word ghosted or like is used, it's basically when a teen just stops like all texting and talking to another like supposed friends of theirs with like no explanation given. So the ghosting slang was invented to say that like the person who ditched you all of a sudden like became like a ghost and disappeared without a word, like they suddenly died or like crossed over to the other world. So that's like the like origins of the slang word ghosting or like ghosted. But in the song Ghosting by TXT, I really like how they kind of switch the metaphor, or more like they don't switch it, but they use it as like double meaning. So the metaphor of like being an undead spirit, it's not just used for the friend who like suddenly starts talking and like disappears like a ghost, but also it's used like as a descriptor by the speaker himself to like describe himself. So it's like double meaning. So I wanted to go over some of the lyrics here. You're gone for a moment, gone, like a faint ghost gone, in a room with only echoes, only me that's wandering around. I'm like a ghost, like a ghost. I just felt like that I really liked that line. Basically, it's like his friend just suddenly like cut off all communication with him. So the friend is a ghost. But the speaker of the song has also been left so empty and lost that he himself, he feels like an aimless wandering spirit. Just kind of wandering around after their suddenly being cut off by his friend. Also, another collection of lyrics from the bridge that are my favorites, with obviously Hyuka's very delivery, which I love. Like Hyuka's delivery here, it's like a sharp slap in the face. Like when you realize that the person you loved, like so in the bridge of the song, it's basically when kind of the sadness of the speaker turns into like he realizes like that he's been rejected. Basically, like from the beginning of the song, he's kind of sad that his friend has stopped talking to him, and he basically is kind of wondering why. And like, but then he realizes in that bridge, basically the person that like he loved and trusted and like that he gave everything to, it's that person has abandoned him. And like Hyuka just comes in with this really sharp like pang of like pain and like rage and almost like resentment, in like my opinion. And I just like I really love that delivery a lot. Hyun Kai, amazing. I absolutely love him. So amazing. So I wanted to also say that Bumgyu also finishes out that bridge beautifully. He kind of softens the blow previously given by Hyun Kai's harsh realization. And Bumgyu kind of emphasizes, instead of like the burst of anger, kind of the loss and longing and the desire to go back to the past. I think honestly Bumgyu really got like the subtle sadness and like emptiness lingering like behind the fun upbeat songs, like not only in Ghosting but like this entire mini album. And I think Bumgyu does a really great job. I think that Bumgyu really like connected with this album. I don't know like how he feels about it, but his voice and his delivery and the way he kind of portrays, because like this album we're gonna get into it a little bit later about like kind of the bigger themes of the album, but there's a lot of nuance in these pieces. And they're kind of complex, especially for how young they are. And so I really think that Bumgyu did a great job connecting with these collection of works. So I just wanted to say kudos to Bumgyu. And also, like, I think he really, like, he's showing his sensitive side, like, through his delivery. And that sounds, like, really weird. But, like, I do know that he was one of the main writers of, like, Maze in the Mirror. And I think Bumgyu really does have, like, a sentimental side to him. And that's a little more, like, sensitive and thoughtful than some of the other boys. And I think that that really, like, lended well here in this song. Kind of, he has that little bit of, like, greater maturity and understanding, at least in how he delivers his lines, and I just thought that he did a really good job. So I just wanted to praise Bumgyu here. Blue Hour is kind of a trip of a song with a fascinating and otherworldly instrumental, chanting, and a sharp, snappy beat that carries the entire song on its back. It's a song that you can't help but groove along to. It's also Bumgyu's era. I'm just pointing it out, okay? Bumgyu is shining so bright in this track. I think his deeper voice is equal parts wistful and happy, and I think he really nailed it. This song is the delusion of happiness in terms of its lyrics and sounds. The song is about knowing that a relationship, something once fun, beautiful, and special, has ended, and is basically about fantasizing over that relationship and not focusing on it basically being over, but remembering the fun times that you had in that relationship that's now over, rather than mourning and being sad about it. The boys know not that this special moment will end soon, but they know the fact it has already ended. The boys are just reliving the memories and trying to forget about all the bad things in their reality. They're on the cusp of something new, and they think that the world looks beautiful and exciting because even though the relationship has ended, they are kind of fantasizing about what it once was. The other world at 5:53 is beautiful. I'm sure you already know if you like TXT, but the blue hour is the hour of the day when basically the day changes into dusk, or it can also be in the morning before, like right before the sun rises at dawn. So it's the last little bit of blue in the sky before the darkness comes at night or the sun comes in the day. Basically, it like signifies like kind of a changing hour, like something about to be over, because it's very kind of short in that little blue window, basically. So basically, this is like a metaphor for the boys hanging on to like this happy moment in their life, or like the memories of it with their friends. And they know that they'll inevitably fade away, even the memories, and they're most likely to even fade away quickly, these like memories of this relationship that has failed. But the song doesn't focus on the sadness of that these memories or these failed relationships will disappear, or it doesn't have any bitterness that they failed, but rather the song Blue Hour just relishes in the fact that it's here right now, and it's having a good time kind of fantasizing and remembering what love and joy was a part of that relationship. It's actually like a pretty deep song, in my opinion, in terms of its like emotional complexity. So the song's like exact lyricism, at least translated into English, has some really like clever lines that I think like actually reveal how like flimsy the jovial mood of the song like is, but never actually like lose it or like dampen the song's excitement. Basically, the song is very happy when you listen to it, but basically some of the lyrics are like very poignant, where you kind of like, oh, like maybe there's like, you know, it's kind of a flimsy happiness, as if like it could fade very quickly, like just like the blue hour quickly turns into the nighttime. So one of my favorite lyrics is, "At the hour of the dog and wolf, I want to be trapped in the magic." So I looked it up, and also I heard from other people. So like I am not the first person to say this, absolutely not. So basically the phrase "at the hour of the dog and the wolf. It's basically a French phrase, and it's about the time of blue hour. So basically it refers to there not being enough light to see out into the blue dim. If basically like that kind of like twilight time, and you see a shape and it's like a four-legged like canine shape and it's approaching you, but because it's blue hour, or like there's not enough light to see, but you can still see the shape of it coming towards you, you can't tell if it's like a friendly dog or a dangerous wolf, and like whether what's approaching you is a friend or foe. And I just like really thought that line was really cool and kind of ominous. If I read it with like no context, or like I didn't know what the meaning was, I might even think it belongs in a different song, because like this is such a cheerful sounding song until you like really dive into it. But like honestly, the way Yoonjun like sings this line, he's the one that sings that line of between the hour and the dog, it just makes it sound like it's the most cheerful phrase in the world. Like this song is full of these like darker and uneasy like images, but like it's just presented and delivered by the boys in such like an upbeat way that you never fully lose like the kind of joy that you feel when you listen to it. And I think like that's perfect, because in the song, even though some dark stuff has happened, like these relationships have failed, or I think you can interpret the song in different ways, but like this friendship, this romance, like whatever happiness has gone, they're not focusing on like the sadness, and they're only reliving it. And there really is, even though there are these dark images in the song, or more like ominous images, they're never delivered that way. They're more deliberate, like, oh, it's just how it was, but there's not bitterness or anger there. It's just kind of like delivered in a very cheerful way. And I think that kind of adds to the song's like themes, because the themes are about just staying in that fantasy, reliving those memories, and blocking out all the bad. So like another one of these kind of ominous lines that like could be so ominous in a different song, I'm going to tell you a couple of them real quick. But they work so well, and they don't dampen the song and make it like sad. So the first one is, that look in your eyes like a gift box that's empty. Another one is, the blue that fell beside me, everything changes. And the last one is the bridges kind of lyrics, and it's, the sunset over my time machine. Actually, I know the end is near. The sun is down. Before you disappear into the night, I take your fantasy into my eyes. So I just really loved those lines. I thought they were really good. I loved the like imagery of the gift box that's bright and colorful, but then it's empty inside. And once again, I feel like that represents this song. It's like all the happiness and like fun and bright colors, but if you actually like read what they're saying, it's like kind of a little empty, a little lonely inside, but it's still like really fun. And then I really like the line in the bridge. It's after the sunset over my time machine. First of all, that's just like a great imagery of like the sun setting and a time machine are obviously both like going back in time to the memories, but also like there's an end to the time you can think about these memories, like the fantasy, the imagination to kind of relive these things that you've lost. It won't last forever. So basically like the sunset is like ending the time machine. That sounds weird. Like, and you get it. A time machine takes you back in time, and a sunset signifies that something is over. So basically the time of the boys reminiscing and really enjoying these experiences and like loving them and remembering them in a happy way is like drawing to a close, but it's not there yet, because they're still in the blue hour right before the nighttime. Also, I really like the last line of the bridge translated to English, which is, before you disappear into the night, I take your fantasy into my eyes. I just really like this, because it's basically like that person is getting farther and farther away from you. Like they've already left. Like this relationship is over. But through imagination, through fantasy, I am like, the speaker is taking that relationship back into his eyes, like into himself, into his mind, so that he can relive it and have like power over that relationship, so that his memories don't have to turn angry or sad, because he's taking a fantasy of what the person was, only the good pieces, and he's remembering them in like a joyful way, instead of basically just being angry and bitter about it. And all these lines, which I already kind of mentioned, that kind of have this more ominous or double-sided, or like if they were delivered in a different way, they could kind of like make this song a little bit like sad or ominous to listen to. But all these lines are delivered by the TXT boys with this enthusiasm and energy, and just like without a single trace of sadness or like self-awareness that like what they're saying like is sad in any way. It's basically like in their delivery, they've just willingly made the choice to to abandon all of the sadness that could come along with these emotions. They've thrown away all those feelings that will bring them pain and anger and like basically the hurt, emptiness that they felt in ghosting, basically. And like, so in ghosting, they're mourning over that lost friend. But in Blue Hour, they're not going to mourn and be sad anymore or lost. They're going to celebrate the memories in this thrilling fantasy and party. And they know that it might not last long or it's already over. But the speaker of the song, the TXT boys, just deliver it with this like certainty that it will last forever. Like, it's a very interesting song in my opinion, because once again, their memories are already over. Like, there's a lot of past tense in the song. One of the lines is from Subin is, we were special. So basically he's already saying that whatever relationship was special between them, it's over now because we're in the past tense. But the song is so packed with references to imagination, magic, fantasy. It like shows that like this speaker, through his like memories and like his fantasy and his imagination, he basically shows like a determined and almost like somewhat brazen ability to just toss away like the anguish that he should feel or he does feel about this like past relationship, and like just throw all those emotions away that he doesn't want to deal with and basically just embrace fun and love again and like reliving these old memories. He's only remembering like the good from like a lost relationship, and he's reliving the happy times and the wonderful adventures through like the fantasies of his mind. And this could come off like really like almost like stifling, right? Like when you're forcing yourself to be happy, but it's just like there's so much pain inside of you. But Blue Hour doesn't come off like that. Blue Hour really comes off like they truly do not care. And that's why I say it almost sounds not self-aware. And I'm not saying that it's like not self-aware in the way it was written. I think it was written like this was purposely, and I think that's like really intelligent and interesting. Basically, it's like the speaker really has just completely embraced these fantasies because whatever reason he just decided like why be bitter, why be sad, like when it's over I can just focus on these fantasies. I can just exist in the Blue Hour, freeze the time, like make it last in my mind. So like another like one of the lyrics that I really enjoyed, or a little phrase, was I believe Yeonjun sings these, but like don't quote me on that. It's, you are my special, one and only special. The door of my dreams unseal. You from my memories became real or become real. So once again, this is just signifying that his real life friend is gone, but in his fantasies, the friends are together and they're happy. So basically, I think the whole song Blue Hour, it feels like a happy dream. It's like something very detached from reality. It's like a sweet dream you have of like your broken off friend or like an ex-lover, but like it's inspired by your memories together. So like in real life, when you think of your ex, not everyone, some people are like Zen Buddha, but like when you think of your ex, there's, even when you think of the happy times together, there's kind of that like sting of pride or lingering resentment, or maybe it's not resentment, but you're just sad that it's over. But when, like, that's when you're conscious. But when you're dreaming, you can remember that person in their full goodness. Basically, like the person that like you've broken down in communication with, or the person that left you, or like the person you left. Basically, like in your mind, when you dream about them, you can basically only have those good moments that you had with them, those good memories, that like sweet fantasy in your mind, without any of the more like complex emotions of like, guilt, sadness, anger, whatever it is that you kind of have lingering in you. And I'm not saying that everyone does, but I'm just saying that's kind of pretty normal. And I thought that was like a really interesting idea for a song. So like that's kind of, but the TXT boys are kind of in that fantasy, in that dream. So in their dream, all their like friendships that have died, it doesn't matter, because in the dream, they're only remembering like the happy memories, the fantasies. And I just think that's really, honestly, kind of beautiful. I honestly find it also to be quite an empowering song, like Blue Hour. It's basically the speaker taking back of how he feels about that relationship he's lost. He's basically saying that he refuses to be turned bitter by how it's over. I hate this awkwardness, Subin says near the beginning of the song, or he sings it. I just laugh. I just love that Subin is like, here, his delivery is like, I'm just going to laugh away the awkwardness. Like, I am just going to fantasize until my frown like turns into an endless smile. I just think that there is basically this like notion when you listen to Blue Hour that even though it kind of has this darker side to the lyrics, there is like an empowering message to it. Basically, you're taking back your authority of the memories. And I just think that's like really beautiful. I will say though, I also, because I'm kind of I love it when it's a little dark, I do think that another way to read it is kind of it's a little bit more sinister way. I'm not sinister, but maybe like a little more ominous. Basically, it's that while the fantasy is true, they're pushing down those emotions a lot, right? And like basically, instead of like, I think there's a reading of the song, I prefer to think of it kind of as like a powerful, like basically empowerment, taking back those old memories, choosing not to be bitter, just choosing to like just really like love those like memories of that person, of that broken relationship. But I think there's another interpretation of the song. You could take it if you want it to be a little more like cynical and basically say that it's not empowering, but it's really just like a desperate like delusion. Basically, like the speaker, he's like pushed so far back to his mind of like all of the pain that he feels, all of the longing from ghosting, all of the like betrayal he feels, and basically like he is just it's more of like a delusion more than like a purposeful choice. So either way, I think that it's really good, and I think it's like really up to you how you want to interpret the song, but those are just kind of some of my thoughts. I know I talked a lot about like the meaning and lyrics, like I always do, because like those are kind of my favorite parts of songs. I'm like a writer, so like that's kind of where I connect to the most. So like once again, as for like just kind of the instruments and sound, I just feel like you never get tired of like jamming out and going like crazy, like dancing to this. I just think it's like an extremely fun and kind of jangly song overall. I never think it gets old. Like some songs you just play them on loop and like by the fifth time you're like, I can't listen to this anymore. But Blue Hour, I just like don't think it wears out when you listen to it over and over again. I think they did a really great job on it. And I feel like it just really is like a celebration. And I really like it. So Blue Hour definitely gets like a 10 out of 10 from me.
Cause we lost the summer, we lost the chapter. 되게 잘해 들려줘. Oh, it's all gone.
We Lost the Summer. We Lost the Summer is a fine song. It's about teens dealing with the pain and frustration of being locked up due to the global pandemic this year and being unable to do the normal things they loved with their friends. I finally found a TXT song that like I won't gush about. I'm just kidding. Now the start. It's just like honestly, We Lost the Summer doesn't really speak to me on like any real level. Once again, I want to say it's a totally fine song because like be prepared. I'm about to really go in, but like I wanted to like say before I kind of went into my problems with it that I don't think it's a bad song, and I don't think there's anything really objectively wrong with the production. Also, I wanted to say, obviously, their vocals are great. Like, Bumgyu and Hyunin do a really great job in their delivery. I'm obsessed with Hyunin Kai, and, like, I just feel like he especially sounds like he's really releasing the frustration of this pandemic that's been caused in everyone. In his lines, I feel like he's really delivering that emotion well, and I think that gives his lines in particular a really lovely punch in them. That said, I can't get over the fact that, like, my little sister scarred me. Okay, she heard this song, and she said that it sounded like a Justin Bieber song to her, which, like, honestly, I don't know why she thinks that or what that even means, but, like, I somehow agree. Like, I guess for me, We Lost the Summer just feels kind of, like, generic. Like, maybe that's what I think she was trying to convey, and, like, low-key, I think that conveys my feelings about it, too. I just feel like it's kind of just there. Like, I actually really like the music, but like I have a big problem with like the lyrics. Like, and like I don't think the instruments and lyrics really go together. Like, that's my biggest problem with it. So basically, in my opinion, like the song doesn't genuinely feel like it's from the point of view of teens about a pandemic. And I just like checked the credits, and as I guess, like the boys aren't credited for anything in this, like, which is totally fine. But in my opinion, We Lost the Summer, it's too clean and slick sounding. It's like very manicured and like produced in its sound, and it's like instrumental and stuff to really like represent and talk about the topic it wants to talk about. So like I feel like if this song was about like a breakup, or it could be about losing a friend, or being even like hurt by like haters, or like something else, I just feel like it would have been better, because literally when I hear it, if like I don't read the English lyrics, like I just feel like it doesn't invoke a super strong emotion. And I think the song, it sounds way too perfect sounding. It's like really, really clean. Like it's really, really like good production. But like when I think about the pandemic, which is like what it wants to talk about, I think of like chaos, fear, like economic devastation, isolation, and like death. Okay, like this pandemic has like brought the world to its knees. Okay, like, And it's just such an intense topic, even for teens, okay? And I just feel like the song We Lost This Summer, it's kind of complaints about the pandemic. They're kind of very weak and vapid. Like there's a line about being unable to go into your favorite cafe and like having to wear an uncomfortable mask. And like I just feel like that really lacks to connect to the listener, like at least to me in that way. And like I'm sure maybe other people thought so too. So, like, don't get me wrong, I know TXT is going for a more, like, youthful take. Like, they're clearly coming at it from the perspective of teens. So, like, I don't expect them to be talking about, like, you know, like, the death on, like, you know, like, this huge scale, like, so sad, so tragic. But, like, even children and young teen girls, and, like, many teen girls who are TXT's fans, they've been, like, way more impacted by the pandemic than just, like, not being able to go to their favorite like cafe. Many of these kids, like teenagers, are literally unable to go to school. They're unable to do like basic things like go to the mall with their friends or even like a public park. Literally in some places, at least in America, they've like literally shut down public parks. And like these teen girls, like their parents, some of them, I'm not saying all of them, but like their parents are struggling financially. Like some of them have lost their jobs, their parents. Like these teens, they're being forcibly separated and isolated from like their more extended like elderly family members and like that support network. So like my opinion is like this song doesn't really work for me because I feel like it's very shallow in its lyrics and it's really like neat and pretty in its production, but it's trying to tackle something so messy and so like difficult and tragic. And like I just feel like it lacks that real emotional hard hittingness that is needed to tackle something as serious and intense as like and devastating for so many people as the global pandemic. Like well, I do have problems with this song too. Like if you compare it quickly to Life Goes On by BTS, which is like BTS's most recent title track, that song is also about the pandemic. And like while I don't think it like perfectly like encapsulates everything about the pandemic, I do think at least it grasps the real like desperate depression and like basically the mature march that people have to struggle on. Like they have to continue like even though it's painful. Like this pandemic is not like a simple inconvenience, but basically for a lot of people it was like life was growing like unstable and frightening and like there was dread and sorrow like all around them. And I think like Life Goes On by BTS at least begins to grasp that and understand that. Like they have some pretty hard-hitting lines like you know, like I think there's some lines about like, can I even go on? Like I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. And then like, you know, saying that life goes on, like I need to keep moving forward. The world will keep spinning. Like I have some problems with that song, but I think that at least it got closer. Do you know what I'm saying? I just feel like We Lost the Summer doesn't tackle it well. It's very surface level. And like, once again, I totally understand that TXT, they're like, you know, a younger group. So we're trying to approach the pandemic in a more like youthful way. And basically they're not the same as their seniors BTS. Obviously they have their own sound, this younger image, their own musical style. And absolutely, I love that because like, I literally like TXT more. So like, it's just my opinion though. Like they're both great, but like, I just prefer them. I'm like a bigger fan of TXT. But like, just because TXT are teens doesn't mean that their problems or any other teens like emotions like in reactions to the pandemic were like less severe than like an adult's feelings or emotions about the pandemic. Like they weren't weaker or more surface level because TXT or their fan base were teenage girls for the most part. Like in fact, in like many ways, I think that their demographics, feelings towards the pandemic and the pain over the pandemic are actually more intensified than their kind of adult counterparts, like reactions to the pandemic. Like teens feel things so much more at so much more of a high intensity, and they struggle to understand with the nuance and emotional kind of maturity of an adult. So like when a young girl, like 12, 13, 14 years old, is told she can't be like with her dying grandfather versus like her mother, you know, who's, you know, 40, 45, both understandably have an unbelievable and like, I can't understand their pain. It just literally breaks my heart. But the young girl can't even begin to rationalize that or understand it. Like she is so broken by that. And to her mother, don't get me wrong, the mother is also devastated and like heartbroken and just like, I can't even imagine the pain. But like, she has that age experience to kind of be able to rationalize, like as an adult, you have a little bit more experience, and so you can kind of rationalize things a little better and understand that some things are so difficult, but like you have to soldier on, you have to grow up. But kids, it's different. Teenagers, it's so intense. Like to the girl, if she was told that, like it's like apocalyptic to her. Like she cannot deal with it. So I feel like the emotions as teens, they're not less intense. They're like not more surface level than a grown-ups. They're actually more hysterical and they're more passionate. And like in the song We Lost the Summer, TXT kind of is just vaguely frustrated and annoyed and saddened in the song. And that's not their fault, because like the lyrics are very kind of like, oh, we lost the summer, like we can't go to our cafe and like we have to wear these stinky masks, okay? But like real kids, their target audience, like they are so much more than like a little bit annoyed. Like these kids, like every kid reacted differently, but like a lot of them were very scared or they were pissed and they were just like ready to like fight the universe to like get this virus gone. And yet at the same time, a lot of them are also very scared. They wanted to like hide under their beds and just like weep their eyes out. So I feel like We Lost the Summer like kind of lacks that emotional understanding, and the fact that like it makes me feel nothing listening to it, like emotionally. I think that honestly, I'm going to go off. It's a staggering failure in terms of that musicality and subject matter. Like they don't go together. Like the subject matter wasn't handled very well, and the music does not fit what they were trying to do, which they epically failed at. I wouldn't be so harsh on like the lyrics if it was a cute little breakup song or like a shallow little conflict between friends, but like it's literally trying to tackle something super grown up. So I'm like treating it like it's asking to be treated. And like I just feel like that part is a failure. It's not that good in that way. And I want to also say like kind of the metaphor of like the eternal winter. Like we lost the summer. It's like an eternal winter. Like come on, that's really overdone and uninspired in my opinion. It's like way too on the nose. Like especially because like a lot of places were locked down during the summer. I just feel like this is like wow, I'm really going off, but like I don't feel like TXT's producers and writers have ever quite missed the mark. Like in terms of really connecting with the audience before. That was like one thing I always praised them for in their previous albums, of basically truly feeling authentic to like a youth's experience. There was like the awkwardness of puberty and Crown, like the pain and anxiety of like teenage angst and Runaway, and then like the melodrama and like emotional turmoil and like fighting in friends groups of like Can't You See Me. And like even though a lot of those songs, some of them were, but like most were not written by the TXT boys or by teens. They're all like by adults, most of them. Like the TXT boys will contribute and they've written a couple, but basically, even though it was written by adults, these previous three works, like they didn't downplay or skim over the difficulties or problems of teenagers. And they always, like the writers and producers always seem to treat them as very valid. So like I always thought they did a spectacular job, actually. Like this is praise for like the previous works of basically feeling authentic and genuine, like to that youth experience, even when the boys themselves didn't participate. So basically this is the first TXT song that I think really truly misses that mark. It really feels like adults imagining what teens think about the pandemic. And I think that is a huge, you don't ever want a song to feel like that. Like it feels very like disconnected. And I honestly feel like too, they kind of were like, you know what's popular and like relevant? The pandemic. Like I almost feel like they were like, let's, like the writers and producers were like, that's a trend. Let's like make a song about that. But like, I feel like when you start writing a song with like the agenda to tick a box rather than to tell a story you already had in mind, I feel like this is usually the result. Honestly, We Lost This Summer, it's a little uninspired and it's a little forgettable, to be honest. I just feel like it doesn't work. It doesn't work to me personally. So sorry I went off so hard. The boys did nothing wrong with this, and they did their very best with the material they were given. Like, they didn't do anything wrong. They sound great here. And I'm also sure, by the way, that the producers and writers tried very hard. But undoubtedly for me, like, literally, I don't know. I think I'd rather listen to like Nap of a Star than this, and like you know my feelings about Nap of a Star. So if you love it, go off sis. But like this one is a big fat pass for me. So yeah, thank you next. Okay, I really snap.
Few moments later.
Okay, so quick update. After I went off about this song, I was in my kitchen because I was like eating some food, okay? And I was just like dancing and singing. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I had like a crisis. I realized I was singing it, okay? The song that shall not be named. I'm just kidding, but like, dang, it's so catchy though. Like, We Lost the Summer is so catchy. And like, after taking some more time to think about it, I don't take back anything I said. I truly do think it fails in its lyrics. But like, imagine if this song was about like a generic breakup. It works so much better, and like maybe it's even a bop. I don't know. I'm so indecisive, and this makes me feel like my opinions have all the consistency of a cup of pudding. But like, basically, I was singing this song and dancing in my kitchen and like kind of going off to it, but like maybe, I don't know, like, so basically I'm saying like I've softened a little bit. I mean, I stand by everything I said about the music not matching the lyrics and like the writers not connecting to their audience, because like I still don't really feel anything when I listen to the song, but I was just like kind of dancing to it and it was like kind of catchy. So I was like, I just feel like maybe my expectations for the lyrics were too dang high, because like TXT like usually has these genius lyrics that are like really deep or artful, in my humble opinion. But like these lyrics were just like, oh my gosh, like I think literally a 10-year-old could write them. I'm going off again. But like honestly, if this song was like a breakup song and like not about something as serious as the pandemic, like bruh, it actually probably makes for a good listen. So while like I still think it's one of the weaker tracks on the album, I will admit it's definitely an earworm, and it's like not altogether terrible. Okay, I don't know. Leave me alone, Mo. Okay, I'm one of you. Just let me be indecisive. Okay, so this song isn't as bad as I made it out to be, but like, I don't know. Okay, I'm leaving. Bye. Time's up. Give me your wish list. Birthday! Wishlist is a cultural freaking reset. Excuse my cringe Moa K-pop self for 1 minute. Say no. I can't. If TXT like recorded a Twice song and like back when Twice was like adorable and fluffy, I am deceased. That's exactly what Wishlist is. Grant these writers and producers a million titles and awards. Like, this song just makes the world a little brighter. It's the bubblegum pop sound at its very best. The boys sound so elated, and I'm elated. When I hear this song, I just smile and blush and scream out the lyrics in like a creepy egg yolk voice that's like so mortifying to anyone around me. Like, they literally want me to stop. But like, call me basic, like call my taste trash, but like literally don't lie to me. Like, you listen to this song and you're smiling from ear to ear. Like, when these happy little boys sing their happy little song, oh my gosh, with that little pouting and demanding in their voices when they demand to know what present you want, like, oh my gosh, I just can't do it. I can't. This adorableness is straight up illegal. I just love them all so much. And like, here I go again, like exposing my crazy self on the internet again. But like, literally, tell me you didn't listen to this and think the same thing. If you were a girl, like, you just like love them all so much. And if you're a guy, like, I bet you still think this crap is like the most adorable thing on earth. Taehan, Yeonjun, and Hyun Kai all helped in the writing of this song, and like, I'm crying. They're so cute, and this song is like cotton candy, bubblegum fizzy drink, and I just like will never get tired of sipping this drink through a Slurpee straw, because brilliant, okay? Like, that bridge, okay, is so killer. Like, Subin sounds the best he's ever sounded. The way the music just strips back a bit, and you can still hear those like chattering little guitars as Subin like leads up to like Taehyun's crush confession. Like, boy, what? Like, these absolute morons like do not deserve to make me this happy. Like, they need to stop right now before like my finger breaks from the replay button and like my heart melts into a pile of like lovey cutesy goo. So like, they need to stop, okay? But like, literally, joking aside, they're beautiful. This song is excellent, and like, props to anyone who even breathed near like the creation of this genius track, okay? Like, I bless you. You are amazing. I can't bless you, but I wish blessings upon you from the Lord, because like, straight up so good. Like, Wishlist is a true winner and like a true breath of fresh air in this like horrid 2020. Like, TXT makes me feel like so carefree and happy here. I will stop because, like, I'm definitely embarrassing myself, but, like, when TXT, like, they just create and share something so beautiful and pure, like, it reminds me of why I like K-pop idols in the first place, like, not for the sex appeal or flashy costumes or scandals or fan wars or, like, so much toxic, but, like, for moments like this, like, when these 5 beautiful boys can create with an entire team of staff, like, and their supporters, when they can bring something, like, just pure joy and love and smiles, and they like bring this little gift all across the globe, like putting love and happiness out for Moa, and Moa like encouraging them to share that love, like, we just really don't deserve them or this song. Like, I just hope that all the TXT boys are so happy and healthy, and like I just hope that everyone else is too, like, watching this. Like, I hope you're happy, like everyone watching this video right now, and happy and healthy, and like I don't mean to like continue this rant and like embarrass myself even further. And like I know it ain't that deep, but this song just really moved me in a strange way. Like, Wishlist makes me feel like it's all gonna be okay. There's so much evil and like scary things in the world, but like when I listen to this song, I feel like protected and safe and happy. Like, K-pop idols, like, the love they have for their fans and like the innocence and joy that they can put out into the world, they just make me so happy. And like, all I want on my wish list is nothing more than like what the TXT boys have already given me. Like, I know that's cringy and like so many people will think that's like weird or not normal, but like TXT's existence, like them as a group, like, and them as people being happy and healthy, that's what I want more than anything. And like, this is like, wow, we really going on a trip, but like, to get sentimental for a second, like we ain't already sentimental, like they honestly, like TXT kind of creates like a kind of stability in my life. Like, I'm deeply religious, so like I thank God for like allowing me to be like alive at the same time as them, and like God like brought them into my life in terms of like on difficult, painful days, like just watching TXT like compilation videos or like listening to their songs, like browsing through like their concept pictures or like watching theory videos online like for their universe. It's like, it's just awesome. Like, it just makes me smile and it gives me like hope. Like, when everything becomes like really difficult and I don't really like want to go on, like I remember that they have like a comeback coming up soon, and like I have to wait to see it. Like, I have to support them because like TXT like needs Moa and like Moa needs TXT. Like, I know this is like really cringy and it probably sounds like Delulu, and like I know they'll never know me, and I don't need them to. Like, I don't like, just being one of their many fans, like who they make music for and like perform for, like their hardest, it's like really all I need. Like, seeing them succeed, seeing them smile, like is all I need to be a happy Moa. Like, I just, I'm done. Like, they're just 5 like beautiful, wonderful boys, and I just hope more than anything they're happy, and like I hope they know how grateful Moa is for them, because like their job is truly meaningful, and I really hope they love it because they share so much joy, and I just want them to get joy in return. And I'm so sorry that was like, wow, we really went there, but like my true heart just came out, and like I just love them so much. Like, they're babies, and Wishlist just makes me cry so much. Okay, Wishlist is the best song ever, I swear. Also, for those of you who have never ever listened to it, go listen to it. You are missing out. And also, like, for all of you who actually care about my intelligence thoughts versus just me gushing, the song is about boys trying to find a present for a girl they like, and they want to get her something that she likes. And it's kawaii desu, and ew, I'm vomiting. Bye! Way Home. So Way Home is the last song on the Blue Hour Minisode album, and it's like really unique. And by unique, I mean like super weird. I have no style, like no idea of what style of music this is supposed to be. To me, it sounds like a thumping R&B EDM house track, and I don't even know what half of those words mean. Like, hold on, let me look it up. Okay, so according to my really intense K-pop research, so like I'll put up the site that I found it from right here. It's considered in the genre of future R&B, whatever that means. The song Way Home, it's kind of funky, it's kind of experimental, kind of like how Puma was experimental and a little strange in the Eternally album. So Way Home, it's not really one of my favorite songs, but it's not bad. I just like don't really like that electronic little noise that buzzes in the background of the track like every second or so. Though Yeonjun's rap is fire, I ain't gonna lie. I wish it was longer, honestly. Honestly, I think we've been a little robbed of Yeonjun and Hyun Kai rapping lately. Like I know TXT has never been a rap heavy group, but like Yeonjun is a rapper along with a singer, and Hyunin can spit fire. So I feel like it might be interesting in the future if they showcase like the rapping a little bit more, but it's okay if they don't. It's just like something that I kind of missed a little bit. So the song Way Home is about a boy literally on his, like literally it's about a boy on a bicycle on his way home, and he's like biking through the dark and trying to go home, but like metaphorically it's about the speaker escaping his own negative feelings or like feelings that make him feel negative, and like basically escaping from his like past lost relationships, his fears, kind of like using the metaphor of him like pedaling away from them, I think. Anyway, like honestly, this song is kind of one of those deep tracks that like I almost feel like is too big brain for me. Like the boy is like the speaker's sad, right? Like I don't really know. Maybe somebody can like really like break it down for me. But like the lyrics confuse me a little bit. Like the speaker is like in the lyrics, he's like hearing the song, their song of like a relationship, like a friend or a lover or someone. And then like that person's seat is empty. And when the speaker looks at the sky, they call each other's names and run forever together. Bro, I don't know. Like this crap is too deep for me. Like personally, I don't really listen to this song too much. Like it's not really the kind of sound I like, and it's like a little awkward and strange sounding in places, especially with that like once again that grating little like electrical buzz that like won't shut up for like 80% of the track. But like honestly, I think that's just like the style of future R&B. And I don't want to like disrespect that genre. Like it's probably just like not my genre, and so like it's probably like a good song. And like I do think it's a good song. I'm gonna say that, but like it's not my favorite because like the genre isn't really like I don't really vibe with it. But like I don't know. I'm sure people really do. But I will say it's always great to see TXT and their producers and songwriters always pushing the limits of like what TXT has like tried musically. They're actually really, really kind of experimental. Like I feel like every album, they're always throwing in new stuff, just kind of trying it out, seeing what TXT kind of works with. And I really like that because it's a very diverse listening experience. Like it can go from like Wishlist, like so pop, so bubblegum, and then like Way Home, time for you to like spend 5 hours thinking about this track. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I feel like every single album of theirs has a really good like kind of variation of song, and their whole discography has literally a song for every single mood on earth. So like stan TXT, I guess. So anyway, once again, there like just isn't a genre they haven't like dipped their toes into. So anyway, that's all I have to say about Way Home. It's a little confusing to me, like both musically and lyrically, but like maybe it just isn't for me, and I still think it's like a pretty good song. So for my personal ranking based on my personal preference, one is, oh gosh. Okay, I'm gonna go with what I wrote. One is Blue Hour, but bro, I want to put Wishlist so bad. Okay, like no, we're gonna stick with what I wrote, but like me just gushing about Wishlist, bruh. Okay, so one is Blue Hour, two is Wishlist, and like honestly, those are like pretty fighting for the top spot, but we'll keep it the way it is. 3 is Ghosting, 4 is We Lost the Summer, and then 5 is Way Home. You kind of know my thoughts already about each of the songs. Overall, like I liked all of them. Some I just like more than others. And like, you know what? We just gonna go ahead and move Wishlist up and Blue Hour down, okay? Because like I'm trash. I love Wishlist. Oh my gosh. What was I thinking? I'm just kidding. What is it? Okay. Anyway. So now that my really crackhead ranking is done, basically I wanted to kind of give my overall thoughts on the album. So overall, I think this was a curious progression from TXT musically, but it was really refreshing. Blue Hour, like Minisode, one, it's more of an upbeat and colorful mini album than their previous mini album, the Eternally album, which was very melodramatic and edgy and like kind of like that edgy teen energy. And that was my favorite up to that point of Eternally. But it kind of also like avoided this new album, Blue Hour Minisode 1. It kind of avoided slipping into like a more immature space, even though it's a lot more like colorful and upbeat than Eternally. I don't feel like it became less mature. So like honestly, Blue Hour Minisode 1, it feels as an album overall very intelligent and age appropriate, but also kind of carefree and a breath of like fresh air. Honestly, no other K-pop releases really sound like it this year, and I love how different it was. I don't think anyone was really like expecting it. Like, and that's what I love about it. I certainly wasn't expecting this sound and this style. I just felt like it was really different but good. And TXT, one thing I like about them as a group is they certainly don't just kind of repeat themselves over and over again. Their discography with every new release is always evolving and changing, and they're exploring different themes of youth and adolescence, but like in new ways that are always fresh and interesting. So I liked this album overall and thought it was a wonderful surprise of equal parts happiness and sadness. And it was really kind of like duality in the music of like these kind of more sad tones, but like in this very upbeat style. And I thought that really was kind of neat, and it really moved me. I think this album is quite excellent. I'm always looking forward to TXT's next release because like you never know what you're gonna get. One thing I will say is I feel like this album strays away a little bit from their kind of themes of adolescence and growing up. And I think that is inevitable as they continue to age and like they continue to talk about different things. Just because I feel like while the first three albums you cannot remove from those themes of teenage angst, growing up, the awkwardness of puberty, like the kind of melodrama of friend groups and like painful breakups, of like friend dynamics. Like for the first three albums, Star, oh, I really like almost forgot what it was called. I love it though. For Star, Magic, and Eternally, I feel like you cannot remove those from those themes of adolescence. But this album, Blue Hour, Minisode 1, I think you can. And I don't think that's a bad or not bad thing. I just think that you can listen to this album if you already know about TXT's kind of themes and previous works within the lens of basically continuing like these talking about like adolescence. But I think that we may be moving on from the themes of adolescence, and like I feel kind of conflicted about that because in some ways I feel like they're my babies and I just want them to stay young forever. But at the same time, artistically, they have to move forward because there's only so much you can cover, and they really have covered a lot of what youth is. And basically within their storyline, the boys are kind of growing up, like in real life and in the story of their albums. So like this album, I feel like you can connect it back, like, oh, this is them like after their like friend group fell apart and like they're kind of dealing with like, the sadness and the memories. And I think it totally works that way, and that's a great way to interpret it. But also I think like if somebody didn't know about the rest of their discography or the kind of themes that they tend to explore, you could literally just think about this Blue Hour Minisode as kind of like an echo chamber of, or like something that can stand fully alone in terms of isolation and happiness, but kind of over an emptiness. It's kind of, like I said, a pretty complex album in terms of what it talks about. And I feel like you can remove those and keep them more broad so you don't have to link it back to like adolescence and youth. The only real song I think that really there definitely still are those youthful themes there. I just think it's a little more distant from the others. And like I said, I'm a little conflicted about that. Just because like I really love that they explore that, but there definitely still is a lot of youthful energy. Like Way Home, it's literally about like a kid, he's passing a school and like with his bike and everything, and in Way Home. And ghosting, obviously, like adults don't ghost each other that often. We just call it something else. And so I think it's interesting where they're going. I'm excited to see more. I hope that they don't lose like kind of what makes them a little bit more unique in terms of subject matter and themes that they explore. I don't think they will. I think TXT kind of knows where their bread is buttered, and what they've kind of grown a fan base around. And I want them to explore and continue to expand into different things, but I just don't want them to kind of lose that element because that was one of the most fascinating elements to me. Because like if I want to listen to kind of songs that are more generic or about not necessarily generic, but about more commonly discussed topics, I can go like to lots of groups. But I felt like TXT kind of had that market on the pains of youth, on growing up, on things that no one else really wanted to talk about. And I just feel like it would serve them well to at least continue to find that unique space that only they can do and not water themselves down. And as they get older, they're definitely going to want to explore different topics. And like, I totally love that. But I hope that they always stay truly TXT, if you know what I mean. And they don't kind of they don't lose kind of part of their, I don't know how to phrase it, like who they are. Like, and don't get me wrong, I want them to evolve. Like, actually, I love the way they are now, but every group has to evolve. It's inevitable. Things will get stale. But just like, I want them to continue to keep that uniqueness and to keep talking about those subjects that other groups just aren't going to talk about. So that's just my opinion. But overall, I really like this album. I think it is an unexpected place, but I loved it. And honestly, it might even replace Eternally for my favorite. Like, the jury's still out, but the music was so good. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, the aesthetic of Eternally is still superior. I gotta get that edginess, but like, I did love this album a lot. I thought the music was very beautiful, and I thought it was very complex and very fresh, very fresh. Like I said, I haven't really heard much like this at all. So I just wanted to say that Moa loves TXT, and I want them to keep going and keep fighting and keep making bop after bop. And as for you, Moa, or anyone watching, even if you aren't Moa, I hope that nobody ghosts you and that you get to celebrate as if the blue hour never fades away. I hope you don't feel like you've lost any summer, and I hope you get everything on your wish list, especially with Christmas coming up or Hanukkah or whatever like holiday you celebrate at the end of this year. And I hope that you always find your way back to whatever place you call home, whether that's a person or a place or a higher being. God loves you guys, and I want you guys to all know that you're cherished and loved. And if you're struggling, you're not alone. You're going to be okay. Jesus, he's with you. And I know so many people love you, so you're very strong, and I just wanted to remind you that you're going to be able to overcome whatever this is. So with best love and good wishes always, DC, go stream the entire Blue Hour album because it's above.